you all please join me for the Pledge of Allegiance?
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you all for coming. Antoinette, roll call.
Mr. Burns?
Here.
Mr. Cook?
Here.
Mr. Rogan?
Here.
Mr. Williams?
Here. Audit of the bills.
All right, tonight we have two abstracts to approve. One is abstract number 24, which concludes the financial payment of bills for 2015, hopefully. So I will make a motion that the town board approve abstract number 24, dated December 18th, 2015, in the amount of $190,395.47. So moved.
$935.
What did I say?
$300.
Oh, $935.
Second.
Roll call.
Mr. Burns?
Yes.
Mr. Cook?
Yes.
Mr. Rogan?
Yes.
Mr. Williams?
Yes.
Next, we have abstract number 1, dated January 14th, 2016, in the amount of $508,180.86. I'll make a motion town board approve that. So moved.
Second.
Roll call.
Mr. Burns?
Yes.
Mr. Cook?
Yes.
Mr. Rogan?
Yes.
Mr. Williams?
Yes. Okay, I'm up. First on my agenda is our procurement policy. The town of Patterson has a procurement policy. I believe it was last amended in 1998 or 2008. 2008. There's been a number of changes to state requirements, which I've incorporated in here. One of the issues that we've incorporated into this new procurement policy is to very clearly articulate that we can now consider bids both on lowest price and best value. We've also raised some of the limits as to what department heads can spend for $500 to $750 without having to get two verbal quotes. The last time we amended the procurement policy, we were allowed to do it by resolution. Again, things have changed, and based on what we're doing within the procurement policy, we now have to do that by local law. So you have in front of you a local law. Don, do you have any comments on this?
No, good.
Okay, so without objection, I'll introduce local law number 1, providing for a public hearing and introducing the revised procurement policy for the town of Patterson.
Second.
Without objection, we'll enter this into the minutes as though read. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed?
There's a lot of good cleanup on that policy, bringing things up to where they should be and cleaning up the language.
Correct.
So.
And as you're reviewing it, if anybody has any additional comments,
Set for public hearing.
Yes,
February 10th.
It's in the resolution.
it's in the resolution. Next on the agenda is a request from the library. As you know, we fund the library. They're looking for their annual funding in the amount of $737,000. Yeah, that was. Ed was having a heart attack back there. $737,652, which we will gladly send over once our warrant is filled. Mr. O'Connor, do you have anything else?
Well, yeah, I mentioned today something, and pardon me. My name is Ed O'Connor from Putnam Lake and the library. You're gracious enough to say that we could take a couple of minutes when the library was being discussed to talk about and introduce a few people. The library has made a number of committees recently, one of which is a government and community outreach committee, and we will have people who are going to try and become more involved and familiar with the goings-on of the government on all the on all the levels, not just the town, but the county and the state, so we can be ready for mutual needs and help. If something comes up, it might be the library can help whatever level of government it is, and maybe that, as we know, levels of government can help the library. It's also a community outreach. We're looking at businesses, schools. It happens a lot with schools, because libraries are no longer just someplace where they have a book to color and someplace to keep the kids from after school. We're doing a lot of things and getting very high tech, and I'm sure this committee will help us be more of a benefit to both the government, the community, and everything in it. I would just like to introduce the people on this committee, because you'll be seeing them on a fairly regular basis, so that when things happen, they'll be familiar with what's going on in town. We have Karen Powers, who has been mostly going to be working with the community, and George Disbrow, and Monty Raban,
Hi, how are you?
and Ed O'Connor. I'm going to be mostly, I've been told, working with the government. They think I've become immune to that part of it, so we'll let the others do the other part. But that's all. At some time in the not too far distant future, we hope to have a more extensive introduction and a list of things that we can do for the town and things that we can do for the county. But we'll set up a schedule for that. But I just want to introduce the 4 people that you will be hopefully seeing besides just me here. And I'm keeping it short tonight. I want to leave enough room for Bruce Majors to have his end of session thing, which I think he's all ready for. Okay, thank you very much. If you have any questions about this committee and its intention, you can ask me now or ask me later.
All right. Thank you, Ed.
Thank you.
Thank you all for coming in, and we look forward to your involvement.
Thank you.
So, next on tonight's agenda, we have a request from the Putnam Lake Park Advisory Board for the submission of a grant. As many of you are aware, the Park Advisory Board has been working very hard on constructing some basketball courts out at Memorial Field. They've done some preliminary grading out there and the like, and they actually have found a grant program that they may be able to finish the basketball courts for. We encourage their making the application. It is to Peckham Industries, and you all have copies of it. You all had a chance to take a look at it. Anybody have any questions about it?
It'd be great if they could do it.
God bless them if they can get us money.
Absolutely.
All right.
Yeah.
Again, I'd like to thank Pat Ploger, Hank Earl for working so hard on this, and Marguerite Short, and everybody else in the Park Advisory Board that's worked on this. Can I get a motion from the board to make the application and authorize the supervisor to send it in?
I'll adopt that motion.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay. Legal update. Just so everybody is aware of some of the things that are going on. When we built the sewage treatment plant, or shortly thereafter, one of the contractors felt he was due more money. He actually didn't finish the work he was supposed to do, so there are actually 2 lawsuits going on this. The first one involved their assertion that they were due more money. Just to let you all know, we've prevailed on that one. And the second issue, we have a number of different lawsuits going on here. With the appellate court, we did the arguments this week for the challenge on a FOIL request. And we've still got another 6-8 months to see how that one works out. That involves Ann Finazzi, who was looking for a site plan that didn't exist. And she felt that it did exist, so she sued us trying to get the site plan.
This was on the wastewater treatment plant? Or
The second one is on a FOIL request. Don, you have anything to add on
Yeah,
that?
just, if the board's not too familiar with it, the public, it emanated through the planning board and related to,
Can you, let's get a little closer.
better? That better?
Yeah.
Okay, so it was a lawsuit brought under the Freedom of Information Law for failure to deliver to Ms. Venizzi a site plan, but that was purely conceptual in nature, had never been formally submitted to the town. The lower court in Putnam County found in favor of the town, and awarded legal fees based on essentially based on sanctions that were requested. Ms. Venezia appealed, and that was argued in the appellate division sitting in White Plains last week. So we await a decision.
Okay. Next on my agenda is the DEC permit, Cranberry Mountain Preserve. As many of you know, the DEC has recently acquired considerable property on either side of Haviland Hollow. They have now sent notice into the town that they are looking to construct a parking lot out there. It is within 100 feet of a state-regulated wetland, so they have issued themselves a permit. No permits are required. No permits are required from the town, but it was a courtesy notification. They intend, I believe, to start construction in the spring on this new parking lot. It's going to be a 6-car parking lot, and it will be about 300 yards east of Claire's Nursery. I have a plan here. Anybody?
Got
It's
it.
very small. So, just to apprise the board, so if anybody sees construction going on, they will know what it is. I've also notified the county, being as Haviland Hollow is a county road.
Now, is this proposed parking lot adjacent to a trail, or?
I don't know of any trails in that area at present. I would suspect if they're gonna have a parking lot, they're gonna build a trail.
I think there's like a parking lot across the street already. There's a sign over there.
I don't think there's any official parking lot, it's just where people have pulled
I know
off.
there's a sign here though,
Is there?
Yeah.
Okay.
And will this
on the
park,
opposite side of the road.
and will the finished surface be gravel or macadam? Do you know?
I believe it's gonna be gravel, but they didn't give us a lot of detail.
Yeah, I didn't see that. Okay.
That's typically what they do when they're within a buffer of a wetland.
Yeah.
Though there's a whole road between the wetlands, so. All right, the last thing on my agenda is an executive session, which I'd like to defer to the end. It does not have to do with personnel, it has to do with a search area with the assessor and Patterson Commons, the A&P Plaza. And we have a settlement that I need to discuss with you. Mr. Burns.
All right. First item on my agenda is a resolution. It appears that Tosky Group, who is our auditing, performed our year-end audits for the Justice Court and for the town of Patterson, have changed hands. They're now known as the EFPR Group. We would, I guess one question I had, is this to extend the contract through 2016? Because we had the option for 2016 and 17, or is it just to complete the year-end audit for 2015?
I have not had a chance to delve into this enough to understand why we're doing this. It was a 3-year bid. We're doing it 1 year at a
Right.
time. So this is just for 2016.
16. Okay. So basically, they were to perform the year-end audit for 2015, and we had an option of extending to 2016 and 17. So basically, the resolution is to allow us to engage EFPR Group, who is a successor in interest to Tosky and Company, with whom we've already contracted. So it's somewhat of a formality. So I'm just going to make a motion to move the resolution for the professional services contract between the Patterson Town Board and EFPR Group CPAs for auditing services as outlined in the resolution. So moved.
Second.
Discussion.
Discussion?
Go.
Mine was that they agreed to hold the pricing, but was for 15, 16, and 17.
There was a $100 increase each of the years.
Yeah, but they agreed that that would be it. You know, they were going to change that.
Correct. Are we okay?
We're fine.
Okay. I do have one concern, having gone through this, and I would like to amend the resolution to add, be it further resolved that one of the paragraphs in their proposal be amended or deleted out, and that had to do with if there was some dispute or disagreement between the town and the CPA firm, that we would go to arbitration in Erie County. And we're not going to Erie County, so either we need to change that to Putnam County, or we need to delete that we're going to go to arbitration at all.
That'd be fine. We can We can include it in the resolution, or the catch-all phrase in the resolution says that the contract shall be informed satisfactory to the town supervisor, I believe. Have the second page.
Satisfactory to the town attorney.
Execute any and all documents informed satisfactory to the town attorney. So it would be covered with that.
We generally never allow the supervisor to be satisfied.
That's a tall order. We typically would have supervisor also, so so either way, I think it would be covered the way it is, or if we add a provision to
However, as
amend
long
it.
as we understand that we are not going to Erie County for arbitration.
Do you want me to amend the resolution as you stated?
I'd say approve it with an amendment.
Okay.
To
So I'll make a motion to approve the resolution as amended by supervisor with regards to the arbitration provision in Erie County. So moved.
Second.
and if I could add, we'll amend it, but it's going to be subject to discussion with them.
Yeah, you're
But
gonna
it'll
have to
still
call
be
them.
satisfactory to us because we'd like it in Putnam.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed?
Excuse me. Next item on my agenda are conference requests. We have three conference requests that have been submitted by various parties within the Patterson Town Hall. I'd make a motion to approve these three conference requests as submitted. So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed?
Next item on my agenda are budget transfer requests. We have 4 to close out the end of 2015. Budget transfer 51 is $100 between assessor, training, and contractual. Budget transfer 52 is $5,583 between sanitation contractual and judgment claims and sanitation contractual. Budget transfer 53 is $500 between celebrations contractual and recycling contractual. And budget transfer 54 is $75 within the between other contractual and judgments. So I'll make a motion to approve budget transfer requests 51, 52, 53, and 54 as submitted. So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed?
And once again, those are just to close out the 2015 budget so that we have sufficient funds in the right accounts. Starting 2016, we did one at our last meeting. We have budget transfer request number 2, which is $279 between contingent accounts and taxes and assessments on property. And we have a budget transfer 3, which is $12,738 from general repairs contractual to improvements in equipment capital outlay within the highway capital improvement. This is for the purposes of constructing the pole barn that you may have seen if you've passed by it on Cornwall Hill Road. And there's an itemization of the costs of the pole barn annexed to the budget transfer request. So I'll make a motion to approve budget transfer request number 2 and 3 as submitted. So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Mr.
That's all I
Cook.
have.
All right. Next, we have the formality of approving the 2015 contract with Patterson Fire Department and the Putnam Lake Fire Department. Excuse me. We held a public hearing last meeting, 13th day of January, and we heard some comments. So we have the 2 resolutions to approve those agreements. So I'll make a motion that the town board approve the resolution as read for both the Patterson Fire Department and the Putnam Lake Fire Department for the agreements for 2015. So moved.
Second.
You're doing them both together?
Yeah.
Do I have a second? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed?
Next, we have resolution to approve the transfer of, what is this, recycling?
No.
Garbage.
Garbage.
Refuse, I'm sorry. Okay.
This is the tipping fee for dumping the garbage at, is it Welsh?
Welch.
Correct. Okay. This resolution's kind
Well,
of
they've
quick.
got 3 different names, so.
Well, we
All right.
doing business as Welsh, but it's a holding company that's
Correct.
business as Welsh.
Whereas the town board of the town of Patterson has duly advertised for bids for refuse disposal via a transfer station for garbage district number 2, and whereas Valley 82 Holding Corp., doing business as Welch Sanitation Service, submitted the only bid proposal to provide refuse disposal via a transfer station for garbage district number 2, a full and complete copy of which is annexed here. Whereas the town board wishes to accept the bid proposal, now therefore be it resolved that the town board hereby accepts the bid proposal of Valley 82 Holding Corp., doing business as Welch Sanitation Service, for disposal via transfer station, and be it further resolved that the town board of the town of Patterson hereby authorizes and directs the town supervisor to execute any and all documents in form satisfactory to the town attorney, and to take any and all necessary and appropriate actions to give effect to this resolution. Make the motion. So moved.
Second.
Discussion. Anybody? Don, how come the dollar amount for the bid is not in the resolution? Was there any reason you left it out?
The bid is attached, so...
Okay, so you felt that would, okay, okay.
I note, though, that it's Welsh, not Welch. Welch is in the resolution.
Oh,
Welch, like the grape juice, is in the
Yep.
resolution, but it should be Welsh.
yes, it should be Welsh. Second question, when we put this out for bid, we put it out for a 1-year, 3-year, and a 5-year contract. What's your pleasure? Russ, you got any thoughts on this? 1-year, 3-year, 5-year contract?
I thought 2 was appropriate.
I'll go 3.
So
3.
3? Okay, so
We
so
bid
the
it
resolution
1, 2,
will
or
read...
5.
Excuse me?
It was bid 1, 2, or 5.
Thought it was bid 1, 3, and 5. Okay, 2.
Fair enough.
Listen, I changed it so many times I can't remember.
Same price for each year.
Right.
Yeah.
All right, so we'll do this for a 2-year. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
Next, we had a request at the last meeting to let folks know who the EMS committee is. So we will do that tonight. And the committee comprises of Rich Williams, Pete D'Andriano, Bobby Kearns, Joe Nickershire, David Rains, Doug Lang, and Adam Siebling. That's the group studying ambulances.
Good stuff. Mr. Rogan.
Okay, I wasn't sure if Mr. Hook was
I'm done.
Okay. Wanted to give you a chance to add anything in. Okay, first item we have is a request from our Recreation Department Director, Matt Chabarro, requesting to hire Emma Cassidy as a junior staff member for the Rec Department at an hourly rate of $8 per hour. He has stated that Emma has experience working with children in sports setting and will be a great addition to their staff. So, assuming and upon completion of all the paperwork through Sue's office, I make a motion that we approve his request to hire Miss Cassidy.
She's already an employee. She works at the park for lifeguarding over the summer, so all her paperwork's
I
probably
recognize
in. She's a good friend of my daughter's. So I don't know
Okay.
if we have to do the paperwork again. No? No. So,
Okay, great. So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
aye.
Aye.
Any opposed?
Okay. Both Councilman D'Andriano and myself, as liaisons to the Sanitation Department, met with Russ Goff, the Sanitation Administrator, and his support staff, Margot, last week. Had a great discussion about some of the future changes and proposals for increasing efficiency and production within that department. And a couple of suggestions came out of that meeting, and Russ has spent quite a bit of time looking at this over the last few weeks. The first item that we discussed was a change in a few of the fee structures for the recycling services. So for discussion tonight, we have a couple of minor items. The first was that our yearly fee for the recycling center sticker has been $8 Antoinette, you want to guess for how many years?
At least 20.
20 years. So Russ had suggested a modest increase to $20, which is more in line, and that would be $20 for a single sticker for a car, or $25 for 2 stickers, and an increase from, I believe it was $150 to now $175 for a commercial permit. I think those fees are pretty modest. And also, there were some fees for different items, such as bringing in a TV screen or computer, because we anticipate having to pay to get rid of those items. And there were some funds that were not being collected that would only help to offset the town's expenses. So it's kind of a pay-as-you-go or pay-as-you-throw type system. Russ, anything that I might have left out on that?
No, you got it.
Can we make it any easier to get the permit? Because I'm probably the biggest offender. I always get the permit, but it's probably in May by the time I come in, get the permit, then I have to go down there and get, I'd rather, if they sent it to me in January, I'd send us a check.
I'm so glad you brought that up, because
Okay.
one of the discussion items we had was trying to come up with a system similar to the recreation department, where you can pay with credit card. Might allow people to show up on a Saturday morning and say, hey, I want to buy my permit. We were trying to limit the cash, but with these fees, again, someone shows up at the rec center, they have an air conditioner, and they're going to be charged, say, $20 for it. Do they now have to go home and come back and see Antoinette on Monday morning? The system is a little bit difficult in that regard, and I think we want to make it as easy as possible. So we had some discussions about investigating.
Actually,
It's online.
Sorry?
Another thought was online.
Online, yeah.
Antoinette and I have started looking at this, actually being able with a credit card to get the permits online.
That's great. It's a step in the right direction. So yeah, those are definitely some concern. Making this as user-friendly as possible.
Okay.
So, any other? I guess I have to introduce the resolution before we have any other discussion on the fees.
I have a comment.
All right. So I'll introduce the resolution with the attached fee schedules as recommended by our sanitation administrator, Russ Goff, and discussed with the liaisons, both myself and Councilman DeAndriano. So moved.
Second with discussion.
Okay.
I just want to ask that Antoinette put this notice in the newspapers. I think the new fee schedule should be in both of our official papers so people will know,
That's a great idea.
and on the website.
I think that's a great idea. We also mentioned, possibly before, if we can just say, sending out some of this information with other town mailers that we might have going out to let people know about, some of these changes and the fee structures, and just promoting.
Yeah, we're aware that we need to take better advantage of when we're doing a mailing. It hasn't been done in the past, so we've got to identify the mailings that are coming up
Great.
and get them out. Identify which information is going out with them. So, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed?
The second point of discussion that we had at this meeting last week was the idea that we are paying for pulls for recycling on our dumpsters, and that if we were to add a compactor, that we could reduce that by 75% and pay for the cost of the compactor and the associated fees with hooking it all up within about 1.5 to 2 years, and then start saving the town some real money on that. Because right now we're spending in the neighborhood of about $35,000 a year for those pulls, and we can reduce that to under $9,000. So it's significant savings. And so we wanted to have a discussion about the recommendation or the suggestion that we buy and install a compactor specifically for recyclables, for the single stream recyclables. It just reduces our cost in the long term. The other part of it that Russ mentioned was the existing system, the way they're dumped. A lot of materials flying all over the yard and creating a cleanup issue that with the new design and system that Russ has investigated, I think it'll be a cleaner operation and a more efficient operation, probably a safer operation as well. So there has been a quote received and a recommendation for a compactor and associated items needed for that installation. I guess the conversation is, how do we want to pay for it, and do we want to do it? is this something we want to bond, or can we find the money to pay for it?
I think the compactor makes a lot of sense. The only question I had from a safety perspective is, a lot of people go down there and those things fill up on the weekends. This is not going to be like the guy comes, throws the stuff in and pushes the compactor button, right?
No, there is
This is
a
our
remote,
use.
Okay.
remote control
Okay.
Yeah.
that attaches to it that we can secure.
Okay, so it's not something that the public will be compressing their own recyclables as they bring them in?
Right.
Okay.
My comment is that I'm in favor of it. I just think that, we have to know how we're going to pay for it.
Yeah.
I mean, Russ has given us a quote of roughly $42,000.
Yeah.
Plus roughly 10,000 to prepare the site for this. So we're talking 50,000 plus, and I think we should, before we approve going,
What's a
buying it, let's find out how we're going to pay for it.
Yeah.
what's the life expectancy of a compactor? Like, what would, if you were going to bond $50,000, would you bond it over 5 years, 10
We would
years?
be bonding this for 5 years.
5 years. $50,000 bond for 5 years seems to make.
Well, we're not going to actually bond $50,000 for 5 years. We would need to bundle it up with something else. There is money within the budget for the sanitation district recycling so that we can pay for this. We may have to then, other purchases as we go down the road, we're going to have to bond those if we find that they're necessary and appropriate. We budgeted, for example, for a new packer for this year. So we would be taking the money out of the district funds.
Also, just in this year's budget alone, we've obviously budgeted for the cost of those poles at, say, 35 plus or minus thousand. So if we were to install this next month, we would potentially have 10 months of saving that 75% of those poles. So that's, say, $20,000 right there that we've already, that we're going to be spending anyway. So there's potential savings there that is fairly quickly.
It starts immediate, the savings,
Yeah.
is what you're trying to say.
Sure.
So, Rich, are you saying that you're going to be looking at it along with our controller to see if this roughly $50,000 plus other items and thing, do we put this in with a bonding recommendation?
I'm not making a recommendation that we bond this at this point. I am more of a pay-as-you-go person, and I think by juggling some of the money, and as Sean pointed out, if we go forward with this as quickly as we can, there's going to be a cost savings this year. Then hopefully we'll be able to assimilate this within this year's budget. Again, we may have to take a look at that packer and putting that off till next year, or bonding that, and we'll look at that later on this year.
I know, but what I'm saying is, I know where you're coming from on pay it, you have the money and pay it, but when you look at it also, see if it makes sense that if you combine it with the packer and combine it with something else, maybe you can keep that money in the budget and it's a lesser cost.
Certainly, we're always looking at the most economical way of moving some of these programs forward. That being said, Russ did do an outstanding job pulling this together and getting a price on this. In conversations, though, that I had this week with Welsh, they also provide compactors with the roll-offs. So they're coming down the end of this week.
Great.
To give us a second price on this. We want to be competitive. We want to make sure we're getting the best price. So at this point, we're going to hold off on going forward with this, except, I agree with everybody. I think this is something that is long overdue. We should have done it a long time ago. And I would like the board to authorize Russ to start preparing the site. We know that no matter who provides it, we're going to need to prep the site. We're going to need to provide the electric out there, and that's going to take some time.
Well, I can speak for Councilman DeAndriano because we were in the same meeting that we were both supportive of moving forward with this. We certainly value Russ's input, and he's seeing the efficiencies that can be realized immediately out on this site, so, and the way we do things. And obviously the community was very supportive of keeping these services in-house, and I think this is a step in the right direction. So I would make that motion to authorize the highway superintendent, or are we saying authorize the sanitation administrator / highway supervisor to begin those preparations.
Second, but then, where's that money coming from?
Same place,
Pardon me?
same place from their budget.
Okay.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed?
Okay.
Okay.
I also have I have a request from, or via the Feral Cat Task Force. This is an item that the town of Patterson has been supportive of in the past, and I believe it missed our budget process somewhat accidentally, and in the past we have supported the Feral Cat Task Force of Putnam County with a $500 offer. And I would like to move that we continue that support. They provide a great service in this community, and so I'll move that we support the Feral Cat Task Force of Putnam County with a $500 amount. So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
I have one item under, it's not really on my, can I add announcements to my agenda?
You may. Well, do I have a second?
Yeah.
All in favor?
Aye.
Hi. I have an announcement that the Putnam County Chambers of Commerce are announcing the Plant Putnam 2016 Putnam County Tree and Shrub Seedling Sale. This is done every year, and it's coordinated through Lori Taylor at the Putnam County Planning Office. For more information, you can go to the Putnam County website. You can also call Lori at 845-878-7918 or email her at Lori, that's Lauri, .Taylor, Taylor, at putnamcountyny.gov for more information. And then, not really an announcement, but just a public recognition. I want to say that when Councilman DeAndriano and I met with Russ and his support staff last week, I was very impressed, I know Pete was as well, with the level of thought process and input that Russ has already had into creating efficiencies within the sanitation department. Change is sometimes difficult and a little uneasy, but I hope that the workers will rally around you, Russ, and realize that the intention is to save the taxpayers' money and ultimately save the jobs of those folks, provide better service, safer service, and so I want to just compliment you on an outstanding job in just a few weeks and really focusing on these issues. So thank you for that.
I would second that, Russ.
Yes.
Okay, any other councilmen have any other business?
One item, I know, Russ, we're changing some garbage pickups. Just, you may take note, I know we received a notice that our house was being changed from Wednesday to Monday, and I understand a couple of routes. I'm on the Somerset Drive, I guess basically that development is being picked up now on Monday, and you said, Russ, there was two others?
Mountain View,
Mountain View?
and there's one other small one.
Okay, so just, you may want to take a look at the town
Country
website.
Hill.
Country Hill. It's being advertised on the town website, but there has been some changes made so that some of the garbage pickup dates are actually, I think mine is changing as of next Monday. So you just may want to check the website, so. Excuse me, that's it.
Okay, I have one other piece of other business that came up late this afternoon. As you all aware, along with a lot of the changes we've been making over at sanitation, we've been using a part-time worker over there. At the same time, one of the concerns that we've all had is the cost of maintenance on the vehicles. They currently send all the maintenance work out to a private contractor, and it is not inexpensive. And Russ and I have had the conversation a few times about, you know, if we are going to replace the sanitation worker that we have not yet replaced and are using the part-time help for, that we would want to find somebody that can both drive, pick up garbage, and do mechanical work. And late this afternoon, Russ brought in an individual who seems eminently qualified for the position. I believe we have Russ's recommendation and request that he would like to hire this individual. and put them on as soon as possible.
That was, that position was publicly noticed. We had approved that being noticed.
Did we?
I thought we
Yes.
did. Yeah, we did. It just wasn't, it hadn't been clearly defined yet that it was going to be the mechanic, because I had asked that question.
Oh, yes, last meeting, yes, we did put that out.
And did we have any other applications?
I believe Russ has interviewed a number of people.
And you, so you've gone through and interviewed? How many of those people did you actually interview?
5.
Oh, okay. So this is your candidate of the 5 you interviewed?
Yeah.
Okay. That's so I just wanted to make sure it wasn't one application. And do any luck with a? Hey Russ, how many of the 5 were Patterson residents? Offhand? None. Okay.
So the individual's name is Kevin Proctor. And I would like to make a motion that we hire Kevin Proctor for the sanitation district at a mechanic salary, which is $30.21.
I'll second that.
Subject to meeting all the employment qualifications, drug testing.
Drug test.
So on.
Yeah. And he's got a CDL, obviously.
He has right now a military CDL. He is currently transferring that over to a regular CDL.
Okay.
Discussion?
Russ, I value you're putting together a really good team over there, so you know what you're looking for.
All in favor?
Aye.
All right.
Any opposed? Okay. Public recognition.
Question?
Yes.
Does that now eliminate that part-time position?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, once he goes on.
Okay.
Now, let me qualify that. That's not to say that if we have other people out, that we're not going to still
Sure.
need somebody.
And he's going to do maintenance work at the shop?
He's going to do the light maintenance work, yes. Yeah, for example, today we had a truck go down with no taillights. They needed to rewire it. And then we lost another universal joint, so the axle fell.
All right, so he has the tools of the trade?
I'm sure we're going to be supplying him with some of the tools of the trade as we do our highway department.
Good, very good.
So,
Quick question. We'd also talked and approved the advertisement for the maintenance position,
Correct.
starting as a part-time. Has
Right.
that gone out yet?
I don't know that that's gone out
Okay.
yet, but I do know we've got quite a few applications in.
Great. Okay.
Public recognition. Come to the mic, please. State your name for the record.
Hi, my name is Michael Capote. I've been a resident of Patterson for the last 15 years.
What was your name, sir?
Michael Capote.
Capote, thank you. I'm
Yeah.
sorry, you spoke when you weren't quite up to the mic.
No problem.
Didn't hear it. You getting it?
I live in off Haviland in Putnam Lake, Quill or Denan Lane, right past Sacred Heart Church. I come here today because in the beginning of January I received this. This is a tow notice from the Office of Code Enforcement.
Correct.
Okay. I was on vacation with my girlfriend in Florida. When we returned, we noticed her car had been ticketed because it was parked out in front of my house during a snowstorm. No complaints, snowstorm, you're not supposed to park in the street. That's totally understandable. However, I'm very unhappy with the follow-up letter that was left on the car the following day after we had already processed her ticket. When she received this tow warning, there was absolutely no inclement weather. So I was very confused on why she was being harassed for parking on the street for no good reason. I park in front of my house daily. Denan Lane's a very quiet, private development. There's not hardly any cars or no traffic. I called Louis Tanny, the name on this, the code compliance officer, and I spoke with him on why the warning was left on her car. To be quite frank, Louis was extremely rude and spoke to me with a very condescending attitude. I was very annoyed instantly. I asked to escalate it with his manager. I spoke with Bob. He was also very rude. He stated he cannot park there, and those were the new rules. There's absolutely no signs in my development to indicate that you cannot park there. So I live there. I had no idea that there was a parking ban in effect, apparently November to February. It seems a little excessive. These are the new rules. Lewis mentions that the rules weren't on the street signs, but they were on the town website. So I went on the website because I tried to figure out how to attend this meeting, and I couldn't find the rules. I could looked in parking, and I didn't see anything regarding the timing and parking. So it was not clear at all about what he was just talking about with the rules. A very serious issue with unjust laws being enforced. My old history teacher used to say, absolute power corrupts absolutely. And it seems like Mr. Tanny and his boss Bob on our power trip, to be honest. I spoke with them, and like I said, they were both very rude. So I'm here to get this harassment to stop. I have 9 signatures from the members of Dinan Lane, right here. And I will get more signatures from my immediate development and the neighboring developments, because this needs to end. I think this needs to get reversed, and it's quite ridiculous, these rules. Parking on my street during non-inclement weather should never be an issue, and my neighbors feel the exact same way I do. I've discussed this with every single one of them. If I was to stay in Florida during this time, I would have returned and my girlfriend's car would have been towed. I mean that's just not acceptable. It wasn't snowing, there's no issue for it. So my question to you guys is, what can I do to get this fixed and to stop these tow notices from being put on cars?
You're no longer parking on the street, is what you're saying?
Oh, I still park in the street, but I haven't received any of these to this date, but I just don't think that this should ever be, this is not right, especially when there's no
let me
storm.
ask this question.
Yes.
You live on Dinan Lane. You own a single-family house on Dinan Lane. Do you have a driveway?
Yes.
Is there some reason you cannot park in the driveway?
Yes, there's multiple cars, and it's a matter of accessibility.
Okay.
Because everyone's leaving in the morning, so it'll clog the driveway. It's about 5 cars between my mom, my father, myself, my sister, and my girlfriend. It's 5 cars. It's too many.
Okay. We have this law on the books. We've had it on the books for many, many years. We post the notice at all the roads as they come into the town of Patterson. We do so for the public safety. Generally, in the winter months, it's darker for longer periods. Parking on the road like this, where you have two-way traffic, increases the likelihood of accidents, of people running into the back of your girlfriend's car. We don't want to see that. And we don't want to encourage people, especially in the winter months, to park on the road when there may be snow coming. I mean, when you park there, it may be perfectly fine. You go to Florida 2 days later, we have a snowstorm, and it is difficult for our highway department then to plow the road and plow around your car. That's why we have the law on the books. I can tell you, I for one would be reluctant to rescinding that law based on the public safety.
Isn't it also the county regulation about no parking on the streets?
No, it's a town regulation.
Just ours?
Correct.
How many
might have
signatures would I need to get that overturned? I mean, the members don't feel that it's a safety issue. There's never been any car accidents in my development that I know of ever. So to call it a safety issue, it doesn't really seem applicable.
That's like saying you have a fire or smoke alarm in your house and you've never had a fire, so therefore we're going to rescind having. I mean, that having petitions and signatures, that's fantastic. It shows that your community agrees with you, but that doesn't necessarily negate the public safety aspect of that. And we have a highway superintendent here who is way more qualified to talk about road safety than you are or we are. And I'm not in a position, I agree with you, Rich, I'm not supportive of changing the regulation for parking on streets in that time of year, because you parked on the road improperly, you got a ticket. I don't agree with the idea that maybe you called here and got an attitude on the phone. That's a separate issue that we can deal with. Mm-hmm. But because we're in the business of customer service, I get that. That's what it comes down to.
Yeah,
and
you guys represent the people, right?
Absolutely.
Okay.
But I also think that the safety issue, it's we've never had a drowning, we don't need a lifeguard, we're going to get a petition, we're not paying for a lifeguard for the beach at Putnam Lake. So I personally, I understand where you're coming from. You don't want to get a ticket, you want to park. Pull on your grass or something, or pull off on the side, or create a bigger driveway.
That's not really an option for me, and
I'm sorry.
It just seems.
But then how do you do it? You say, okay, it's all right to park on this street, but you can't park on this street. It's all right, you know what I'm trying to say, is that...
I get it, yeah.
this
I mean,
is-
for
It's
years,
town-wide.
my development was a private community, so I think it was kind of excluded out of that rule and legislation, but I think they finally overturned it and went public or something like that.
Well, it wasn't that they overturned it,
The
your
roads were
community
Decided.
Dedicated the roads.
petitioned the town to take the roads over.
Yeah, yeah.
And we,
So that's what's
We
changed,
acquiesced.
and that's what I
Sure.
have the issue with. So do I have to petition to get it back onto private in order for this? No, it's not.
I don't think your neighbors are gonna.
You could, I
sign
mean,
that.
yeah, conceivably, that would be the only way it'd be exempt, would be if you go back
Conceivably, that would be the only
to,
way, right?
yeah, but that's,
Okay, so if I can get their signatures and come back here and show that they do support going back to private, then.
Do you know what that means, though? That means that you maintain your own road. That means the town doesn't come on your property to maintain your road.
So
That's the reason
plow it.
that's the reason people want the town to take the road.
plowing, paving,
is
cleaning
all
the
that
drainage
stuff.
system.
Yeah.
Right.
I think that, I understand you're frustrated, I get it, I really do. But I also think there's a bigger issue here that you're a reasonable, responsible person, not everybody is, and all of a sudden you get cars lined up and you get where these people are driving these big trucks with plows and they can't plow properly. Tonight they're talking about black ice warnings. It's beautiful weather out, but it's cold. They might be out salting tonight for for black ice. So if you have your car parked down there, and these guys can't plow appropriately, we have the same situation, a complaint right up the hill with someone who parks partially on. They don't quite have enough room to get off the road, so their car sticks out a little bit, and the plows have to weave around them. It creates a safety concern. They're not even doing what you're doing. They're only parking like a foot onto the road.
Yeah, like I said, I understand during snowstorms to
Fair
be
enough.
off the road, but it doesn't make sense to me to enforce laws when there's no snowstorms. Doesn't make sense. Sorry.
Okay, thank you.
Thanks for your
comment.
Anyone else?
Came from the backwoods today. Martin Miller, Cornwall Meadows. It seems a lot of things are happening in the town. A lot of information has to get out. I would suggest to the town board to look into perhaps changing our town board to an electronic town board, so people can get informed. A lot of people go by here every day. So many things are happening, with new garbage regulations, et cetera, and perhaps once in a while when there's a nonprofit would like to advertise, the next few days we'll have something going on in the town. I think a lot of people would notice it. So I know it's going to cost some money, but the other reason Paul Fava is retiring, almost retired, and I've seen Paul out there changing the letters and so on. I don't know who's going to do it as diligently as he has done over the many years. So a suggestion for the town board, perhaps look into that, for the future. I also want to piggyback on Ed, what he said about the library. I was the first chairperson for the 414, I think 2002. And I think, the money that we have raised as taxpayers for the library has been very well spent. I was president for 4 years of the library, and things, when I got off the board to get on the Mid-Hudson library system for Putnam County, things that have been done, with changing of the library, the whole inside, I think, has been beneficial to the library and to us as citizens. And I also think, what's happening now, listening to Ed, better things are happening. So, thank you to the library board members. Anyway, thank you very much.
Thank you.
That comment goes back to getting information on the website. We were talking about looking at updating the website and getting pertinent information. Somebody, I think Charlie, you were the one that gave me a copy of a newsletter, or maybe it was you, Bruce, from back in 2005 that used to go out from the
Four or
town.
five, yes.
That would give information about what's going on in the town. And that could be something that is added in with a mailer that we're already doing for tax bills or assessments or something like that. But just getting the website to be a little more updated and interactive, I think would be a great step.
We're also looking at building a community page so people can post their community events up there.
Like a community calendar for Patterson,
Right.
and that's a
We're
great
working
idea.
on that, and
Yeah.
it's going to be limited. It's going to be limited to not-for-profit, the fire department, the library, the Rotary, organizations like that,
Yeah.
so that everybody can see what's going on in the community.
Helps for planning too. If you're planning a community event, you know that there's the library and the fire department's already doing something. Maybe you pick a different day or a different weekend.
Right.
So, great. Thank you.
Mr. Majors?
Good evening, Bruce Major, Somerset Drive. How are you? First of all, I'm thrilled that we're going to have representatives of the library here on a regular basis. I've been coming to meetings for a long time. Most of the time, you see people here who are one issue. They have one issue, they come, it's either addressed or it's not addressed, and then they're gone. So it's nice to see that there'll be some regular folks here. It'll keep many of the issues, how shall I say, up front. We'll be reminding you of things, as I often try to do. So thank you. I think it's great. A couple of things. As it relates to the new fees for the recycling, you're going to put them in now? In the past, you've always done fees prior to a season. You've already have a certain portion of the folks in town who have paid. I would like you to reconsider that. I know you probably won't, but it's certainly not fair to the people who now come in mid-season and now we're going to see an increase in fees. And the fees aren't, you're not getting that much money out of them. This discussion that you had tonight should have taken place in October, truthfully, so that it could have been for January 1st when you start all your fee schedules.
Yeah, and can I just respond to
Yeah.
that? I don't disagree that it would have been nice to have it in October, but you know more than anyone here the history of this discussion with sanitation and with recycling. And let me finish, please.
Sure.
And we have a newly appointed sanitation administrator. I think he took a hard look at things and said, here's an obvious, these fees are outdated. And we had this discussion, so it was considered that you have a certain number of people who have already paid $8 for a permit fee. There's a point where you say, let's move forward from this point. You're not talking about significant fees.
Okay.
You're talking about somebody, I haven't gotten my fee permit yet for the year. I didn't rush in this morning and get my permit to get it for $8 as opposed to $20. I'll pay the $20 after this goes into effect. I respectfully.
Yeah, I understand where you're coming from. It's just that I think better planning should have been in, and I realize Russ just took over. I think that's a positive.
Yeah, I do as well.
Hopefully, we'll see some positive things.
And
As it relates to...
If I could just add
Yeah.
on to that, I understand also where you're coming from. This really more relates to the cost of doing business out there and the fees for individual things like dropping off electronics and refrigerators. And that we really need to do now because, there's a cost for us getting rid of those. And we need to make that operation as self-sufficient as we possibly can.
Clearly, I understand those fees because they do change. I have another question as it relates to commercial. The commercial fee is now going to be $120.
No.
No,
175.
$175. That is for cardboard only, if I remember correctly.
I believe you're right.
Okay. How many permits do we currently have for people bringing cardboard?
For commercial?
One.
One. Is that a gentleman out on 22? Well, I doubt you'll be well, he does business with the town, so I guess he will get another permit. You're not making a lot of money on cardboard. I had spoken to some other vendors. They're already paying for a dumpster on their site, so for them to pack the cardboard over and take it over, well, good luck for that.
What's your point? I lost.
My point is this, it sounds like a lot of money, and we're not making money on the cardboard, and we only have one person anyway.
So it's a moot
So
point.
it's really a mute thing. I don't really even know why we're offering that to commercial.
But I think the fear
Truthfully.
was when we talked about doing commercial permits so many years ago, was that if we didn't have a substantial fee, we'd open up the floodgates to all these people bringing stuff to our recycling centers, so there wanted to be some threshold. So
No.
I thought that was the...
Well, I think this
That's not accurate,
originated
no.
way back when we were actually
Making money on cardboard.
making money on cardboard.
We're not
We had
making
the
money on
bailout.
cardboard now.
No.
See, that's the problem. We were making a lot of money, and the thought was, we'll have all this cardboard coming in, and we'll make a lot of money on it. The reality is, we're not making money on cardboard. And if you read anything in the local papers recently, the cost of plastic right now, it's cheaper for me to make some new plastic rather than the recycling plastic. We're going to see lower fees coming in from the stuff that we're selling as well. Now, just a couple other questions. At the last meeting, I asked for an update as it relates to the master plan. What I was told is that Ron Taylor is now doing the master plan. Could you,
Ron Taylor on the planning board wanted to take lead on reviewing the master plan and identifying where the changes are. I, after the last meeting, requested that the planning board have it on their agenda for the next meeting. The next meeting is tomorrow night.
okay, fine. And will we have at least a timetable? Maybe at the next meeting you can give us a timetable, so we'll have an understanding when something may be coming out to the public?
I will certainly discuss that with them tomorrow night.
Okay. You might also want to consider, if you remember about 5 years ago when there were some management issues down at the rec center dealing with the former rec coordinator, you hired a consultant. Maybe Ron Taylor should be hired as a consultant for the master plan, and this way you can assure a timetable of getting things
It
done.
would be very difficult for us to hire Ron Taylor, being as he is sitting on the planning board, and actually the planning board is somewhat responsible for doing the comprehensive plan, but, you know, we can have that discussion with our attorney.
I had a discussion this evening with the planning board chairman, Tom McNulty, and he also mentioned master plan. We spoke about it quite a bit, about the updates and looking at some improvements to the hamlet. And so I know this is an area that they are focused on, and I know that their agendas are light enough right now that they have the time and they're committed to this. So I don't think having buy-in from them or an opportunity to do the work is the issue. I think
The issue is this, though, if he's putting substantially more time than other people,
Yeah.
you should consider compensating him. That's all that I'm saying. Because we went from one meeting almost a year ago where we were having everybody involved, and now we seem to be down to one person. And here again, we're 6 years past due, and I'm hoping to see something before the summer that the public will have an understanding of where we're going with the master plan. And just the last item is, as it relates to the cell tower for the railroad, is there any update as to what other locations they're looking at, and if we could be told what those locations are, and what decisions or what communications you've had with them since your last update?
Again, as I relayed to you at the last meeting, I provided them with, I believe, 5 locations in the landfill. And I provided them with a location just over the border in the town of Southeast, which was their property, which would provide, you know, I think, appropriate coverage. My recommendation to them was that they look at shorter towers than what they were proposing and put 2 towers up rather than one single tower at the crossing on 164. I sent that back to them, I believe, the beginning of January. It had to be back in December. It had to be back in December. In the beginning of January, our county legislator, Ginny Nasarino, reached out to them and said, you know, can you give me an update status? And their response was, as we told Richard, we're reviewing it. When we get done reviewing it, we'll be back in touch.
Now, you indicated 5 locations within the landfill.
Correct.
Did you consider the landfill across the street?
No, I did not.
Is there any reason why you didn't?
It's not town property,
Okay.
and it is not Metro North property. And their requirements were that it either be on Metro North property or on town property.
But couldn't it be on county property?
It could, but it would take the county to allow that to happen, and that would be up to the county legislature. Now, I can tell you, when we were looking at putting the solar panels on the town property, I reached out to the county. I tried to bring them into the program because it made a lot of sense to use both parcels. The people doing the solar panels finally gave up because the county could never get to the finish line.
Well, as you remember, I guess it's now 12, 13 years ago, there was a thought about putting a cell tower on our landfill site, and there was a lot of concern, specifically by the softball players and their families, concerned about placing a tower there, just like there was concerns when you were considering putting a tower here on this property, dealing with the childcare next door. So I think you should take that under consideration as well. Thank you.
Matt Spinder, Chief of the Patterson Fire Department. 2 questions. Number 1, have we set a date for a public hearing for the 2016 fire department contracts.
I don't believe you and I have an agreement on the 2016 contract. I don't believe you and I have seen the 2016 contract.
Okay, so I know when we last spoke about it, there was talk about a tentative date of February 3rd.
Correct.
That's obviously not going to happen.
No.
And we're waiting for contracts from the attorneys?
Yes.
Before that date is set?
Correct.
Okay.
I think it would be good if you and I, or the president, vice president, no, I know who you if we at least saw the contracts and had a discussion about them before, we had a public hearing on them.
Okay. I did ask for an update earlier today in a conversation with our attorney, and he has not seen anything as of
No, I
yet
don't believe
either.
he has.
Okay.
And I've been pressing every other day.
Okay. My second question or statement, I just wanted to ask the town board again to strongly reconsider. At the last town board meeting, there was some discussion about the expenditure of over $65,000 for the purchase of Putnam Lake's used ambulance. And as I stated at that meeting, we are in the process, hopefully within the next couple weeks, of accepting delivery of our second ambulance. The current ambulance will then move into reserve status, and we have an agreement with the dealer that anytime either one of those ambulances goes out of service for an extended period of time, they would provide us with a loaner. I think it's ridiculous that we're considering spending $65,000 for a used ambulance that's going to sit in storage for a year, 2 years, possibly more, just to see whether or not we may use it at some point down the road. I think the $65,000 could be spent much more wisely. Certainly would offset the cost of the compactor and then some. So I'd ask the town board to reconsider. Thank you.
What are we spending on Transcare a month?
God, it is 21,000?
21,000?
21,000. Well, the issue...
$65,000.
You're not paying for the ambulance, though. You're paying for the staff.
No, I'm just saying, we're paying $21,000 a month to have a staff for the ambulance, and it doesn't seem as crazy to me to buy an ambulance with the thought that we may be establishing an ambulance corps at some point in time, because we're paying $21,000 a year to outside services. So I don't think it's as crazy having it. It's not that we couldn't turn around, and I think one of the things we had a concern about was, could we turn around and sell that ambulance, and we were pretty confident we could. If it turns out that we won't do that, but it did leave more options open for us, so.
Correct. So. Okay. Anyone else? Motion to go into executive session?
Motion to go.
Second. All in favor? Aye.
All right.
All in favor?
All right.